We're recording.
Perfect. All right. So Buffalo could hear us. Tabitha, Salem, you guys can hear us? Awesome. Good. And Casey said she can hear us. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for, I believe this is maybe our fourth or fifth the speaker series that's sponsored by your local chambers of commerce. Very excited today. We have Scott Jones, who's the CEO of Liberty Tech Solutions. I've gotten to know Scott over the last several years. He's a incredibly dynamic leader from Marshfield, Missouri. So we want to also thank Casey, who's the chamber director at Marshfield Chamber of Commerce, for helping us identify Scott and having him participate and join us today. Scott's got a really interesting story to share today about how technology can be applied to small businesses, to nonprofits, and again, just his vast experience working with large, mid-sized, small companies. I think we're all in for quite a treat. One thing that I did want to share with you before we jumped into the details was we will have an opportunity to do Q&A. So please be thinking about questions that you may have for Scott. That always makes hopefully the conversation more relevant and pertinent to you and your specific business. So hopefully that's helpful. We will also be asking you to fill out a survey, just a 4 or 5 question survey that can help us identify how well this topic was for you. It also asks other potential topics that you're interested in hearing about. So hopefully that's, with that feedback, we can continually improve the quality of these events. I should have introduced myself. My name is Rishu Mahalaha. I'm the advisor for growth in the rural Ozarks, which is the program that's really sort of overarching sponsor of some of these economic development activities in our 4 communities represented here, which is Salem, Buffalo, Aurora, and Marshfield. And also Sarcoxie, who's unfortunately not able to join us today. And one last point, then I'll turn over the mic to Scott, which is please mark your calendars for our next event, which is going to be, if you can see my screen, it's Thursday, March 21st from 12 to 1 p.m. Rob Dixon, who's the director of Missouri Department of Economic Development, will be joining us. A really great opportunity for us to hear about what the state is doing and thinking about in terms of small, mid-sized business development and support. So hopefully you can join us next month for that conversation. Okay, so with that, I will pause and I will turn over the baton to Scott. Let's see how we can do this efficiently, Scott.
I think if you just if you hit stop sharing, you're good.
Perfect. There we go.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Quick logistical question, Hirshu, before I take off. Are you okay with me breaking for 3 different question and answer sessions rather than saving everything to the end? Is that logistically okay?
That's perfect. Yep. You've got till 1 p.m. So your show.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let me, can everyone see me okay? All right. So I'm going to jump right over to my screen here and we'll get started. So as Hirshu mentioned, today we're going to be talking about how small business can win with technology. That was a great topic, trying to break it down into manageable chunks and stuff that'll give you some good information to take away. That maybe was a little bit more challenging. So I picked 3 topics that I'm going to focus on that I think will be interesting. Let's see if I can switch here. Oh, let me introduce myself. Sorry, I'm Scott Jones with Liberty Technical Solutions out of Marshfield. I grew up in an IT home. In our family, we talk about the tech gene, we call it. We all got it. Hooked on technology at a young age. My father was a mainframe repairman. I'm blessed to have him working with me now in the business. So technology has been a big part of our past, and my kids have got it too. My 3-year-old can run circles about just about anybody on a smartphone, even me. So it's running good. I've been in the technology business or profession since '92. I've owned Liberty Tech since '99, so we've been in business for about 20 years. 3 topics we're going to discuss today: current technology and trends, leveraging technology in your business, and exploiting Office 365. Each of those I'll spend some time on, and then I'll stop at the end of each section for questions, because it'll probably be difficult to remember the questions you wanted to ask, and maybe the momentum will be lost on talking about current technology and trends by the time we get to talking about Office 365. So
Hey, Scott.
yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I just want to make one quick point. It may be helpful for you to be in presentation mode and then not be in presentation mode so people can see you speak on full screen. I think it creates for better user experience.
All right. Can you guys see me okay?
Perfect.
All right. Now, when I start talking, do I become prevalent on your screen? Are you there, Harshu?
Yes. For me, you do. Everyone else, when Scott's speaking, if you can just nod. When he's speaking, you see him in the main screen. Is that what you're seeing? Nods? Yes? Okay. Yeah, so you're good.
All right. Outstanding. All right. I'll make sure to jump back and forth. Okay. So we're going to talk about 3 topics again. We'll talk about current technology and trends, leveraging technology in your business, and exploiting Office 365. So let me jump to the first slide. So the first thing we're going to talk about is current technology and trends. The first one that I'd like to focus on a little bit is cyber threats and cybersecurity. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because in our business, we're getting exposed to it a lot. It used to be that topic pretty much dealt with antivirus and malware, and that was kind of that was it, and now it's grown significantly. So it is a technical issue. So when we talk about that, viruses and malware, that's something that you all are probably interested in or are accustomed to. But now we're starting to see things like sophisticated emails and router hijacking and Wi-Fi spoofing. And I'm going to actually show you an example of sophisticated emails. But router hijacking, that would be an example of somebody actually taking over your router, and we've had a few customers where that's happened. So they start going to a website and they're redirected somewhere else. Wi-Fi spoofing is when somebody moves in nearby you and they say, they'll come in nearby you and they'll say, they'll put up a Wi-Fi hotspot maybe off their smartphone, and they pretend to be you, and then one of your customers or employees connects to it, and then they've just gained access to their equipment. Identity theft, you've all heard of that. We see it a lot. People take over folks' email addresses, their Facebook accounts. That's happening. Another very common one that we're encountering now is fake tech support. Can I see a show of hands how many people have gotten a call from Microsoft or Apple saying that they're their support, but it really wasn't, or maybe you figured out later. So Apple and Microsoft tech support don't call you. You call them, and then you call them if you have an issue. So when you get a call from Microsoft saying they just found a problem on your computer, that's not Microsoft. That's a scam, and we're seeing a lot of that, and so on and so on. So I'm just going to jump back over to my screen real quick and show you. I had a customer call about a particular issue this last week, and I've had about 3 instances of it just in the last few days. Can you all see my screen? Does it say, yes, you should be able to see my screen. Do you see an email message in real small type?
Yes.
Can I get a nod? Okay. So what I want to point out about this message is it says it's from me and to me. And it says, hi, this is an account that was recently infected. And if you read the whole email, it's basically somebody saying, hey, look, I've got your password, I've got your account, I've seen you watching porn, I've seen you doing all this other stuff, and if you drop $1,000 into my Bitcoin account, nobody will ever know. And so this looks pretty ominous, and I've had a few customers who called in saying, hey, look, what happened? Obviously they emailed from me, they must have got my account. Well, the reality is it's not very difficult to spoof somebody's email address. Literally, you can open up any mail program, and when it asks you who you are, you just say you're somebody else, but you still put in your mail credentials and the message still sends from you. So like if I open up this message, I know this typing is too small, so you probably won't see, but maybe after you watch the recording, but there's a little spot here in the header of the message that says the email came from a server called m-group.co.il. Well, that tells me that this originated from Israel. So I know to look for that because I'm an IT professional. Most people don't, so this really scares them. My point is this is the type of thing that seems to that's becoming very prevalent. And you know, here, let me minimize this here. So I just want to encourage people to be aware of it, but also understand your employees are being exposed to this. So, all right, so I'm jumping around the controls here, maybe a little too much. Let me jump back to my screen. Okay, so, so it is a people problem as well. I just talked about it being a technical problem, but it's also a people problem. Lack of awareness. A lot of employees don't know that they're vulnerable. So they get an email, it says it's from somebody that they know. They click on it, they think it must be legit, or from a customer or a vendor. You want to make sure that your employees are aware that they should be on guard. Disgruntled employees, you know, we see that where they'll maliciously delete files off of a customer server. You know, we talk about we put antivirus and all this protection on our network in order to prevent people from harming our data or stealing data when we invite people into the front door to work for us every day. And disgruntled employees is one of the largest ways that you'll see cyber attacks is people take data or they delete large amounts of data. And if you don't have good backups or good systems in place, that's just as much a cyber threat as somebody breaking in from Israel or trying to get you to, you know, to present your information, your password to them. Careless employees also a concern, you know, when they just don't think about it. We've had customers who brought a laptop somewhere and then they left it, and it had sensitive customer data on it, easy to hack into and get access to that data. And then obviously people with malicious intent, that can happen as well. So let me jump. So I'm going to give you a couple of 2-minute videos that I think are very instructive and kind of emphasize the people factor that we're talking about. So hopefully you all can hear this, and I'll fire these up here real quick.
What do you think of when I say the word hacker? Some creepy dude in a basement? Well, that's a misconception. What if I told you there's a class of hackers who don't just have social skills? They have more social intelligence than anyone you'll ever meet. David Kennedy is one of them. He's what's known as a social engineer, or a people hacker. His craft is to dupe you into doing things and sharing information you probably shouldn't.
Can I just get your credit card number?
Some use it for illegal activity. In David's case, companies pay him to find out if employees are leaving the company vulnerable. He and his team show us how it's done. Step 1, spoof his number so it looks like he's calling from inside the company, and then call tech support.
Hello, you there? Hello?
Hi, it's Ken. How may I help you?
I was wondering if you could take a look at a website I'm trying to get to. It's for a big customer thing I'm working on for Monday, and I can't seem to get to the website from my computer.
Sure. What's the website? I'll see if I can get to it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate the help. I mean, it could be a stupid thing. I'm really stuck with computers, but so it's www.survey. That's survey-pro.com.
Yeah, I got a prompt to open. I just clicked open, and I'm at the site now.
Here's what the IT guy doesn't realize. By clicking that link, he's just given David full access to his computer.
Whoa, okay, that's weird. I just hit it and it works. It seems like it's working fine now. Awesome. I don't know what you did, man, but I really appreciate the help.
Hey, no problem. That was easy.
That was it?
We're on this computer right now.
You were able to take over this guy's computer within, I would say, like, under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes, yeah. Under 2 minutes, took over his entire computer, and think of it as not just his computer, but it's pretty much a downfall of the entire company.
In this case, the company was paying David to hack them and see if their employees would fall for it. They did. To show you this demo, we agreed not to use the company's name.
All right. So you can see there's an example of corporate espionage, if you will. but it sounded like a completely legitimate tech support call, and the technician never knew this happened. So this is going to be another.
What do you think of when I say the word?
Sorry about that. Next one I'm going to show you here real quick is a little bit more personal. This is something that could happen to an individual.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for usage information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her set up. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're going to have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess. My name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see that social engineering, the people side of this, is very real. And both of those, the individual on the other side of the phone never had any idea that they had done anything wrong. As a matter of fact, they thought they were well-intentioned, they helped out, provided good customer service, and in the meantime, they were susceptible to a pretty good-sized hit. So, let's see. All right, so what are the solutions to this? First thing I would say is employee education. Second would be a strong edge protection like a router. You know, this is combating the technical side. And let me just say something on that. A lot of businesses we're seeing have consumer grade routers, you know, the $50 box that you can pick up at Walmart for your home. It's not a good protection for your office. It's really not good protection for your home, but hackers aren't as likely to try and break into residential locations as they are businesses. Also, complex passwords, two-factor authentication. Essentially what that is it's you type in your password and then there's some other way to validate yourself, whether it's usually a text message to your phone. Frustrates people, but it's very difficult for someone to take over your identity if they don't have possession of your password and that second factor of authentication. Also, password managers, strongly recommend those. Essentially, those are programs that you can access that will store your passwords for you. They run on your computer and on your phone. So you have to only remember one password, and then you can have all kinds of random cryptic passwords for the different websites you visit, and these password managers will fill in the forms for you. That allows you to have more passwords that are more difficult to hack without necessarily having to remember them. And then finally, some examples are LastPass, RoboForm, Dashlane. You can look for those. And then finally, no shared passwords. I can't tell you how many customers we've run into that all the employees share the passwords so that they can work on each other's machines. That creates all kinds of problems for you. Another thing that would be a solution is business class email. Essentially, when I'm talking about business class email, that's email that has your domain attached to it. So, for example, my email address is sajjones@libtechsol.com. Libtechsol is our domain. By having an elevated type of email, it's a little bit less likely to be hacked. The ones that are big targets, Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, all of that those free email addresses are big targets. So not recommended to run your business off of those. And then finally, just be aware, don't give out information over the phone or email. Don't be that person who got duped in those 2 videos. You know, one of the things that I've started to do is when someone calls me and says they're from a company and it is a legitimate company that I do business with, I ask for a callback number and then I Google that callback number before I call them back just to make sure they're legitimately who they say they are. Okay, so another trend that I'm going to briefly touch on, and I'm seeing I'm going to have to talk a little faster because there's a lot here that I'd like to cover, is cloud computing. So we talked about cybersecurity. That in the last year or so is really amped up. Cloud computing has as well. And cloud computing, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of ways it's interpreted. Here, I'm going to switch to here we go. Okay, so I'm back on me. So what is it? Cloud computing is essentially working in part or entirely on the web. That could be your desktop experience. It could be your line of business app. That means the application that you use to run your business. It could be your email is typically considered something you do in the cloud if you don't have a server there in your office. So cloud computing is doing business using the internet. Benefits to that is anywhere access. That's one of the largest. You're able to access your data from a browser, laptop, home computer, office computer, pretty much from anywhere. So that makes it anywhere access and high availability. It's also network independent, so you don't have to go to the office to work. You can work from travel or from a hotel room. Also, the vendor who provides that service for you typically is responsible for the data backup. So a lot of us have been through scenarios where we've lost business data because the backup wasn't working like we thought. Hey, now that we're using cloud computing, that's taken care of for us. And typically it's budgetable because most cloud computing solutions are month to month, or maybe year by year, but you're not making a capital purchase of a server and a bunch of software and all the rest of that. So there's definitely some benefits to it. And the reality is most of your vendors are going there now. So the way they do it is through subscription-based services. So let me go back and share my screen. Okay, so they do it through subscription-based services. So here's just a few that you may be familiar with or may have seen. Dropbox, that's for file sharing and backup. QuickBooks is now really pushing people to go online. A lot of us have been used to using QuickBooks on the desktop. Now all of their market focus is to go to the cloud. Office 365, I put Pulsar 360 on there. That's a cloud-based phone system where you have phones that are connected to your network, but you don't actually have a phone system in the office. Your phone system works in the cloud. Salesforce is a sales automation tool. Amazon Prime, a lot of us subscribe to that for free shipping for our business and then access to good content when we're at home. Clio is an example right there of it's a legal software that's 100% online. Office 365 and G Suite provide you with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other applications. So a lot of your productivity is moving to the cloud. The reality is most of you will be most likely leveraging cloud solutions in the next couple of years primarily. Your dependence upon things local to your desktops are going to be they will become smaller. So before I jump to the next topic, did anybody have any questions that they wanted to put out there with regards to what I've shared up to this point?
Oh.
No, are we good? Okay. All right, and I'm kind of losing track here. Okay. All right. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay, then I'm going to move on. Okay. So this is going to be a quick section here, leveraging technology in your business. I'm just going to focus mostly on branding, marketing, telling your story. So let me give you a quick little example here. So this is a picture of the lobby of Motel 6, and it tells you a little story right there. The story it tells me is, hey, this is a clean place. It looks kind of low budget. I'm expecting I'll probably get a good night's sleep, and I won't spend a whole lot of money getting it. I'm not even sure they're going to have continental breakfast, but hey, for $39.95, I'm not going to expect much. So this picture demonstrates the brand of Motel 6. You walk in the lobby and you experience their brand, and everything that happens after that really is just it's a reaffirmation of what you experienced when you walked in the front door. In the same way, this is the Ritz-Carlton. And when you walk in the Ritz-Carlton, you have a totally different expectation. Absolutely, it's a given that you're going to have a good night's sleep, but you're going to be spoiled. You're going to eat well. You're going to sleep well. You're going to have great things that you have an opportunity to do, and you're going to pay a fortune to do it. But that's your expectation coming into it. So this is an example of two very similar businesses in the sense that they're both into hospitality, but they're trying to tell a different story, and they want to make sure they communicate something completely different to their customer base. Technology helps you to do that. It helps you to be able to really define your message and go after the customers that you want. If you're a Ritz-Carlton, you really don't want people walking in your front door that just want a good night's sleep at a good price. In the same way, you don't want people coming, if you're Motel 6, you don't want people coming in expecting to be spoiled because you're not set up for that. So technology helps us to be able to create that experience for our customers. You use technology to create your logo, to really set up your brand, correspondence, your website, Facebook page. Now more and more, particularly since we're engaging millennials, Instagram, Snapchat, some of those are actually being leveraged in business. My kids are doing business on the web, and they're leveraging those pretty significantly, and they're being pretty successful doing it. So I just wanted to put that out there. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but this is definitely a way that technology can help you if you're leveraging it and you don't want to overlook it. So any questions on that before I jump to Office 365?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I had a question. I'm sorry, I accidentally did something wrong, but I had a question, if you don't mind, to go back to the previous that we were talking about.
No, not at all.
Okay. You were talking about people taking over email addresses. Is there a way you can stop that or get them, like if somebody has like spoofing your email and sending email out, is there any way you can stop that?
Well, there's two ways that we see that. One of them is somebody found your email address, and literally most of us have our email addresses available in different places. It might be on our website, it might be through chamber connections, it might even be in newspaper articles, contact information, that sort of thing. Our email is out there, and it's not difficult for somebody to spoof that and send it. And there's really nothing we can do to prevent people from attempting to be us. However, when you talk about people sending emails to your contacts, that means they guessed your password, they got into your account. And in those circumstances, if you still can, you want to get your password changed, and you want to notify your contacts that somebody had basically compromised your account, and to disregard the information, or disregard any emails that they might have received from you recently. One of the, and I don't want to get too technical here, but there are things that you can do if you have branded email where you can protect your domain. And so, for example, we send out email as libtechsol.com. Well, there's a record associated with our domain says the only legitimate email that comes from Liberty Tech is being sent out from an Outlook server at this IP address. So it's called what's called an SPF record. We register that with our domain. So spam, if you've got good spam protection on your machine and you get an email from me, the spam protection is going to say, okay, he said he sent it from this email server, but actually it came from a mail server in Israel, and it's going to mark that as spam or put it in your junk mail folder and say, this isn't legitimate. And you may not know why it was put in the junk mail folder, but the reason is because it didn't meet the criteria set to make sure that it would be flagged as a legitimate email. That answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. So I guess, like, if somebody, like when you say spoofing, like say on personal emails, sometimes I'll get an email that it was sent to me from my email address. Is that the same thing what you're talking about? Or, because, you know, I have my password, I've changed my password, and nobody else has access to my email. But is that what you're talking about? Is that where they can spoof send emails to people using your email?
Yes. So that was the very first example, is anybody can pretend to be you. And there's nothing that you can do about that unless they fundamentally change the way the email is set up. You can put anything you want in the from, when you create your mailbox, in the from, say, I am, you know, I'm Snoopy, right? You know, if you want to. You can be anybody, and there's really nothing there's nothing built into email architecture to prevent that from happening.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, and then the next question I had is, how safe is cloud-based solutions that you were, you know, like the storage and stuff, how safe is that?
We found it to be very safe. All of the current cloud providers, they use encryption on both sides. So there's a term called encrypted in transit and encrypted at rest. And encryption means your data is scrambled. So you take a file and you save it in Dropbox. When it's on its way across the internet to the Dropbox server, it's scrambled. It's meaningless to somebody. And then when it's sitting on their servers, it's also encrypted. And only your email address and password can decrypt that file. So even if somebody broke into Dropbox's data center and stole the hard drives, the data is useless without your username and password. Now, I say that Dropbox corporate and almost all of these data hosting providers, they do have backdoors in to your data, and that's because they have agreements with the government, NSA, whatever. If for whatever reason they suspect that there's illicit activity, those types of ways your data can be compromised. But typically, and a very sophisticated hacker could probably break in and access your data as well. So I'm not going to say it's perfect, but your data is probably just as at risk sitting on a laptop at your home, or you know, just your machine at the office. Whether they hack it through Dropbox, whether they hack it through your own router and get to your data, if it's on the internet, it has some level of exposure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I'm going to jump to any other questions before I jump to our last topic. Okay. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is, let's see if I can make sure you're seeing my screen again. Okay, next thing we'll talk about is Office 365. Now, some people are familiar with it, some people aren't. I'm just going to kind of talk as if you're not familiar, and hopefully this will either reinforce some things or at least spur some interest. Office 365 is becoming the prevalent platform for doing business in the modern time with businesses. Its closest competitor is Google with the G Suite platform, and it has some similar capabilities, but it's not as robust as the Office 365 platform. All that being said, if you're using Google or G Suite, it's a good tool, and if I had more time, I'd dive into that as well. But right now, I'm just going to talk about Office 365. It is what we call a subscription-based platform. So you pay on a monthly or an annual basis for access to Microsoft's products. Now, that's your, here, I'll jump to the next slide. So that would be your Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, possibly Access, OneNote, all of the different products that you might be used to using with Microsoft. Used to be you'd go out, you'd buy the product, and then you'd use it, and then once you upgraded your computer or you started having problems with it, you'd buy the latest version. And it was pretty consistent that you might be interacting with people that have different versions of Word, like let's say you're sharing a Word document with somebody or an Excel spreadsheet. Formulas they work in one version, but they don't work in the other. You know, you've got these compatibility issues. Microsoft's really trying to alleviate that, address that, plus solve several other problems or opportunities that need to be solved by saying, look, let's make this a subscription model. Let's take what you would have been paying for the product. Let's let you pay that on a monthly or an annual basis, and then you'll always have access to the latest versions of the product. So I'm going to talk briefly about the Office Premium, and I'm going to dive into a couple of the apps and show you how they could really help your business. So the first thing is, people are saying, are you really sure it's more cost effective? I'm thinking spending a couple $100 on the Office product and trying to make it work, you know, live it out as long as I can is going to be more cost effective. So I'm just going to do the math for you. Right now, there's two primary products I'm going to talk that we'll reference here that are the common ones you would buy for your home or business. There's the Office 2019 Home and Business or the Office 2019 Professional Plus. So you get Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. They come with all of those platforms. And then you also get Publisher, which is used for making like flyers, cards, brochures, those sorts of things, simple web pages. And then also Access if you're on the professional product. And Access is a database tool. Very few people use it, but it is pretty powerful if you can have access to it. So the retail price for both of those products is $249.99 or $439.99 MSRP. If we jump in and say, well, to make my solution complete, I need to have email, branded email. Scott just told me I should stop using Yahoo and Gmail. So if I go for branded email, something that's linked to my business domain, cheapest ones around you're going to find are about $5 a month per user. So I found GoDaddy has a nice business class email for $4.99 a month. That's $59.88 a year. Okay. And then also I need a good backup solution. I need a place where I can take my data and store it online. Google Drive, $99 a year. That's pretty common. Dropbox is actually more expensive than that, so that's why I jumped over to Google Drive. So you can see the cost of using branded email, the Office suite, and an online backup. It's about $730 for the home and business, and it's about just over $900 3-year cost for the professional product. If you go with the Office 365 Business Premium, it has all the same apps that Professional Plus does. It also has several more. Exchange Online, which is your replacement for your branded email. You've got OneDrive, which is your replacement for Google Drive or Dropbox with a terabyte worth of storage. And then several other products, Teams, To-Do, Planner, SharePoint, OneNote, and many more. The number of applications that they're building is continuing to grow, and really what Microsoft's trying to do is get you off of the thought that I buy Office because I need a product that'll give me Word and Excel, but really get you to understand that they're creating it as a collaboration platform between you and your employees and you and your customers. And so they're building a lot of tools around Office collaboration. One of the benefits of subscribing to the Business Premium is you can install it on up to 5 machines. Whereas the other products, if I purchase them, I have to buy a copy for my laptop, buy a copy for my office computer, for my home computer. With the Office 365, one license, you get to install it on up to 5 machines. So if you do the math, $450 is the 3-year cost for Office 365 Business Premium, and it's much more expensive to go with either of the other two models. The reason I use 3 years is because it seems like every 3 years Microsoft's coming out with a new version of Office. So that'd be if you're staying current, that'd be about how often you're upgrading your Office package. So I'm just kind of pointing out there as I talk about some of the really nice features of the Office 365 platform that could help you out, understand that the subscription-based model really is helpful. Okay, so first product I want to jump into real quick is Microsoft's OneNote. I don't know how many people, well, I won't ask for a show of hands. I'm just assume there's a lot of people who don't even know what OneNote is. And OneNote really is Microsoft's way of saying stop carrying around a notepad, sticky notes, and those sorts of things. Keep tabs of all of your critical information in one place. And we'll call it OneNote. And we'll give this to you in a format that'll run on your computer, it'll run on your laptop, it'll run on your smartphone, it'll run on your tablet. You can access it from a web browser, from anybody else's computer. So you can have access to all of your critical notes that you would normally be keeping tabs of in a series of notepads and binders. You're going to be able to keep tabs of that in OneNote. So I'm going to take you over to my OneNote, and hopefully I don't have anything here that's going to embarrass me. But I'll just give you a real quick picture of what OneNote looks like. And I know this is hard to see, so I'll just kind of explain. So what I have up here on the very left are different notebooks. So like here's my Liberty Tech notebook. That's the one for most of my business dealings. I have a personal notebook. I have a notebook that I share with my son. I have another notebook that I share with our bookkeeper, and that has various things in them. So for example, if I jump into my business one, I've got several sections: owner's notes, meetings, staff, documentation. You'll see there's a little lock on it. That means you can't open that tab up without a password. So I can save critical, important information like bank account numbers and that sort of thing in there without having to worry about somebody getting access to my OneNote and finding that information. Keep track of policies and procedures, but I'd like to jump down here. This is a real important place where I spend every day. I have customers and vendors. So for example, in this section, my vendors and partners, I've got a list of all of my vendors that I do business with. And every time I have a phone call or a conversation or I go for a meeting, I jot down the meeting notes and the date and time. So you can see this might look very similar to what you might have in on your notepad, but instead you're keeping track of it digitally. So OneNote gives you the ability to really capture all your information. And the nice thing is it's searchable. So if I remember having a conversation with somebody, but I don't remember exactly where I put it in my OneNote, I can just go up here, I can click on the search button, and I can look for that person's name or that topic, and it'll search all of my notes and find that information. What I've done to really make this helpful for me, let me jump off of the share screen for just a second. You'll see here I've got a very small 12-inch laptop. This I bring with me everywhere I go. Instead of bringing a spiral binder or a notepad, I just bring that, I pop the lid, opens right up to OneNote, and I'm able to take notes and do whatever I need to do. If I'm on the internet, great, it syncs up to my OneNote and I can see it everywhere. If I'm not on the internet, it still lets me put the information in, but once I get connected to the internet, then I would have access to that information again. So it's a great tool. I highly recommend looking into it. Again, it's actually, OneNote is now included in Windows 10, so it's a product of Office 365, but now they're actually making it a product of just Windows 10. So even if you're not on Office 365, that is a product that you have access to, but you don't get its fullness of features and being able to share notes. Like I share notes with our bookkeeper. I can't do that on the free version that comes with Windows 10, but I can do that on the version that comes with Windows 95 or Office 365. Okay. So I'm going to jump right to the next product because I'm running out of time here. So let's see. Let me switch over. Okay, so the next product I'll talk about is Microsoft Teams. This is a tool for collaboration within your office. So for example, let me bring up my Teams. Okay, so you can see here, Teams is basically a collaboration tool for your office. We use it for several different things. One of them is inter-office chat. So you can see here I have a chat here. It's called Office Chat. Everybody in our office is a member of that, and so we can just type notes here that go back and forth. So if I'm on the phone or somebody has a question, they can just we can have some rapid communication, and they have an app for your phone for Teams. So you can be out in the field, you can be out and around and participating in these conversations. I can also have individual conversations with different people within the organization that way. It's a great tool for collaborating. So this is one piece of it is chatting. Another is sharing files. So I've got several different teams here that I've got. I can share files with different people. We can actually edit those files real time. If I had more time, I'd actually show you, but just trust me, you can actually both be working on an Excel spreadsheet at the same time from completely different geographic locations, so you can be collaborating on that. It also has, within Teams, You also have a lot of the features you might have experienced with Skype, so you can initiate a video call or a video conference with somebody real time, or even an audio call. You can also share your screen just like we're doing here with the Zoom meeting. You can do that within Teams. Again, it's a great collaboration tool. Set up meetings, online meetings. I mean, there's a lot of features that I don't have the time to delve into, but I just want to whet your appetite to the fact that this is a great collaboration tool. And again, it's part of the Office 365 package. So let me jump to next product. And this is only a few of them. There's probably 50 products now that they've got as part of the Office 365 package. But these are ones that I've really benefited from, and I think would probably benefit folks too. Microsoft To Do. This is probably the best product that I've seen for managing all the things that I have to do. I've tried using Microsoft Tasks out of their Outlook for years, and it just didn't really work well for me. Microsoft To Do is great. So I'll bring you into my life here real quick. To Do basically allows you here over on the left to build categories. So I have 3 basic categories: my business, my personal, and then my volunteer time. And you can see within each of those, I've got 55 tasks related that I need to do related to the business, 9 personal, and 8 that are pending. But then I can go in and I can just set up my day. So right now I've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, roughly 10 or 11 tasks I need to do today. They're all marked as important over here, and they exist on my day. Now, I can pick from these groups and add tasks to my day. So I could jump over here and I could right-click here and add this task to my day. So in the morning, I may want to review my tasks and load my day up. But my day, it appears, and let's say I don't get these things done, well, then I just get this little reminder thing that comes up, or suggestions that'll pop up tomorrow and say, hey, these 8 items you didn't finish from yesterday, do you just want to move them forward to today? And I can say, yep, there you go. Boom, I set up my day. I can take a few things off. I can add a few things to it. I don't have to do like most conventional to-do programs where I have to reset the due date, reset the priority. I mean, if I want to make this task more important, I'll drag it to the top. Say, all right, that's the one I need to get done today. So what they've done is they've said, look, let's make this product work the way people work rather than trying to make people work the way our product works. So it's a great tool. Again, they have an app for it on the Mac side, on the PC side, for your smartphones, both Apple and Android. You can also access it from a web browser. So once again, it's a great tool that you can take with you anywhere and always have access to it. So there's 2 other products I'm just going to mention. I'm not going to dive into them in depth, only because of lack of time. The first one is something called Office Planner. And this is essentially a tool where you can create group projects with steps and milestones, and visually see where you're at with the project that you're working on with the team, and be able to stay up to date, communicate around that project within this tool, and it integrates in with your other products like, you know, Outlook or your calendar or any of the rest of those things. And then another product here is Microsoft Flow, and this is a great tool for creating automated workflows between your applications. It's a little bit more technical, but it's not terribly difficult to understand. And a couple of examples of things you might use Flow for is, let's say you get an email from a particular person or group, make it a task or flag it automatically as high priority. Another thing you might use Flow for is it emails you the daily weather forecast. It's an automated tool, or it's a tool for automating things that you already do, and it'll pull from your Microsoft suite of products, but then it'll also pull from like the web, internet. Like the way it's able to tell you what the weather's like is it pulls from Microsoft's Bing search engine. It knows what your locale is, and it'll send you to the daily weather forecast. So again, a lot of great tools. I've really just brushed the top of what Office 365 can do, but I bring this up because many of you probably either have access to it or have been contemplating upgrading to the new version of Office. Should you do that or do this whole Office 365 thing people are talking about? I really think it's worth looking at to be to have the most resources and tools available to you to be looking at the Microsoft Office suite. So, questions?
Hi, Scott. This is Shannon in Aurora. We do have a question.
Yes.
You said the 5 machines. What if you have 8 computers in the office that usually use that?
Okay, so to clarify, the 5 machines is 5 machines per user. So for example, for me, I have a home computer, a laptop, an office computer. I actually have my little notebook here. All of those would be where my license goes. So according to Microsoft's agreement, it's a per user assignment. Now, one thing that we have done is we have a few customers that have like one of our customers provides medical services in an office environment. So they have people who share computers. So what we may do is we may have 5 computers that all have a single account called medical. And so the medical account, we just install that version of Office on all 5 machines. So they're paying for one license to be shared across those machines. The way we're able to do that is it's kind of a shared license across machines, and it's not tied to a specific user and their email account and their Microsoft To Do and their OneNote. It's kind of a generic account that's shared by everybody. Did that answer your question? Okay. Other questions?
Scott, hi, Rishu here.
Yes.
I've got a question. There's a whole variety of attendees in the audience. I'm guessing some may be nonprofit leaders, for-profit leaders. Would you have maybe like a checklist or something that, you shared a lot of great content today. If they could kind of walk through it, that would show, on the security side, here's the top 4 things you should be looking for. On your suite of solutions, some things to look at. And then maybe, if you could include in there your email address and your phone number so that, if they need more guidance or support, or they want to work with you to help them sort of figure out some of these problems. And most of the folks in the audience, I'm assuming, also work with other small business leaders so they can sort of take that information and pass it along their colleagues. I think there's so much information here, being able to check things off that may make some of the attendees' lives a little easier. Just a thought.
Yeah, I should be able to put something like that together that we could send around. I am glad you mentioned nonprofit, because one thing, that is good to know for the nonprofit folks in the audience, Microsoft has special pricing for nonprofits. That Business Premium $12.50 a month product that we talked about, it's under $2. I think it's $1.50 or $1.95 per individual to access their nonprofit versions of the Office 365 product. That can be purchased through a company called TechSoup. So if you go to TechSoup.org or Google them, it is the clearinghouse for nonprofits for access to software. It's not just Microsoft, it's Adobe, it's all the big players. They warehouse all of their nonprofit offerings there. TechSoup kind of distributes them, and they don't charge an administrative fee. So literally it is one of the best kept secrets for nonprofits. TechSoup.org, great pricing for all sorts of different software products.
I've got one more question. So for small business owners, what do you see on the horizon in terms of things that, I know we've talked about a lot of ways in which we could become a bit more efficient, a bit more secure today. But if you fast forward a year or 2 out, what are some things that people ought to be thinking about, maybe even in terms of capital investment that we're not thinking about right now? Maybe it's, people need to be saving for a new laptop, a new machine, new technology, new phones. Just if you can just sort of in a couple of bullets tell folks what to watch out for, what to be thinking about, I think that could be really helpful for folks to understand.
Sure. So I think probably maybe it would be the way they're viewing their financials, believe it or not, is the answer to the technical question. Historically, with even in small businesses, you're looking at the purchase of a file server, you're looking at significant licensing every 3 to 5 years. You're making major investments in technology capital, and then you try and ride them out as far as you can. With the shift to the cloud for most things, everything from your phone system to your servers, your files, your line of business applications, I think what you're going to see what we're already seeing within many of our customers is they're migrating away from on-premise servers and on-premise capital expenditures. They're, instead of investing in a workstation that's going to sit at somebody's desk, they're investing in a docking station and a laptop, and those folks are taking their laptop with them home or to client sites or to geographic locations. You've got people who are telecommuting. So as a business owner, the way you want to be thinking about that is, I need to be budgeting for recurring technology costs that are steady and spread out across the year. Many of those will just be monthly recurring costs rather than saving for large capital expenses every 3 years. Does that make sense?
It does. That's a great point. Any other questions for Scott?
I have a couple questions. Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things on the branding that I had a question on that I didn't see you touch on a little bit. What are your thoughts on like business apps for like say chambers or other businesses that if they wanted to have their own app, do you have any thoughts on those? Are they beneficial? You know, I'm not familiar with apps, so I'm kind of anti-app a little bit.
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. So apps need to serve a purpose. You know, everybody thought, you know, that kind of the same idea is, hey, everybody needs an IPO. You know, you start a tech, 20 years ago, we're going to start some IT company. We don't even know what it's going to do, but we're going to go public and we're going to make a ton of money. You know, people think, oh, I need to have a web page so that all my customers will go to my web page. Unless you're providing purpose or function in that app that would cause people to want to use it and come to it on a daily basis, you're going to spend a lot of money and then you won't get the return. So if you have reasons to come back, like maybe there's a chamber offering, or maybe you have a chamber app and all of the calendar of events for the community are on that app. So if somebody wants to know what's going on in your community, they go to the app. It's the only central location where they're going to find things out. Or maybe there's special offers. If they bring the app into these restaurants, they're going to get a 10% discount. You know, if you build value into the app and it's not just a, hey, we've got an app thing, but you brought value, absolutely. Apps, people love having stuff on their smartphone that's usable. Subway had an app for a long time. I never got it until I started earning points for eating at Subway. Now I load up my app every time I come in. I let them scan it, and about every 5 or 6 times I got a free sandwich. So, you know, the app is creating value for me. That's really the key.
Okay. And then the other question that I had is, you were talking about low-tech ways for businesses and nonprofits. I know people use their cell phones a lot, and you'll see them using tablets. Do you think those are good alternatives to, like, say, maybe going out and buying a laptop with the expense, you know, because you can do so many things. You can load these programs onto these. Are these good alternative solutions for a small business to have, maybe just using their cell phone or a tablet or both?
You know, it really depends on their function. I know for me, I couldn't live without a full-fledged computer. I mean, even this here is not a tablet. It's a full laptop. I could get OneNote on a tablet, but I use the laptop. I need the keyboard. I need the full functionality access to my apps. I say that a couple of my older kids are doing online marketing and sales and all the rest of that. They're doing almost all of their work off of smartphones. They're transacting business, they're buying product, they're selling product, they're interacting with their customer base, and they're doing it all through their smartphone. So the answer to the question is, I can't give you a definitive. It's really going to depend on the type of business. But you might, before you go out and just buy a laptop or go out and buy a tablet, kind of take a step back and say, what are we doing? Is there a better way to do it? Are we leveraging technology the way we should? And that might help to educate you on the decision.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, so as we wrap up, first of all, thank you so much, Scott, for your time. Really appreciate it. This has been tremendously helpful. I just want to take the attendees 1 more minute of your time and just share with you something. So, but again, before that, Scott, thank you. This was tremendously helpful. I'm sure our attendees thought so as well. Please do take a moment to update your surveys and let us know what you thought of today's presentation. If you think there's anything additional we should have talked about, anything we could have done differently, and then any thoughts you have on other speaking and for any other speakers that we should be inviting to this forum. So I will share my screen really quick. I just want to share with you the Business 911 platform. So for those of you who may not be aware, if you go to business911.org, you will be able, so if you go to, I'll just go right, business911.org, this is a platform that we've set up for our Grow communities. So you can click on Grow, and then from here, you can access different areas of help. The thing that I really want to point it to was this educational series link. When you click on here, you can see the upcoming events. So you'll see Scott's event for today listed. More importantly, on the bottom, you will see recordings from our previous events that were conducted. So if there's any of these topics are of interest to you, you can always go and view those. One of the things that we ask all of our speakers to do is provide some pro bono support. So Scott, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot too much, but as a small business owner, if you've got a question or if there's something you want a quick answer to, hopefully now you have access to an expert who can help you answer some questions. And obviously it's a quid pro quo. If you find that you need help on an ongoing basis, Scott could be a tremendous advisor and a sort of technician who can help you think through these issues, because Scott does this work all over the country. So I just wanted you to know that this content exists. Please feel free to look at it. And if you know of other individuals, other business leaders who may also be looking for help or assistance, please let them know. This platform is being built in partnership with your local chambers. So I really want to thank all of the local chamber leaders, Tabitha, Casey, Tanya, who did I miss? Shannon, for all the great work you guys do locally. Without you, this sort of conversation wouldn't have been possible. So thank you everyone for your time. And I will just end with a reminder that exactly a month from now, we'll be meeting again. And please do let your colleagues know about this conversation. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to have a good showing for our next month's conversation with the state, for them to be able to hear directly from you on your needs, your thoughts, ways in which the state of Missouri can be helping small, mid-sized businesses. So hope you can join us for that conversation. With that, we will pause. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you in a month. Take care.